I don't do intros. How you guys doing today? I'm doing all right today. Today I have for you guys a sleep build, bringing back my sleep build from a couple of months ago. But before we get into the build, the character, and all that stuff, if you guys wouldn't mind liking and subscribing the video, man. Trying to get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year. I think we can do it if we're tenacious enough. But and also go follow my Twitch if you haven't already. Dusinsanity underscore right there. I think we're at 80 followers right now on Twitch, so I'd really love to get to 100. So let's make that happen, man. Anyway, guys, let's talk about the build and stuff like that, the character and all that stuff. This poor guy right here got absolutely shat on. Um, this this is insane, even for Elden Ring CC terms. This is kind of crazy. Look at this. This guy gets stunned by the hand, then put to sleep, and then R1 to death. His animation actually bugged out, and he couldn't move. Um, that's just a shame. Let's talk about this build and whatnot. So I had this build at level 40. You guys might have seen it. I called it the Knight of Saint Trina or something like that. It was basically a sword and board sleep build at level 40. It was really good at level 40, but it couldn't do what I wanted it to do with the Crescent Ripple Halberd. If you guys know anything about this weapon, you know that this weapon is probably only good if you have like 40, 50 arcane. At the time, I only had 20 arcane at level 40, and the only thing I could really do to put people to sleep was use the Saint Trina sword, which I never used dual straight swords really. So I used it like in a sword and board kind of thing. It still kind of worked, but not really. It was tough. It was still pretty tough to put people to sleep. The sleep pots, however, they scale really good with arcane and definitely could put people to sleep really fast, even at 20 arcane. Um, but now we're up to 52 arcane on this build at level 80. So we're getting really good use out of the Crescent Ripple Halberd and the sleep pots mostly. Saint Trina sword is kind of bad now. It's kind of funny how the weapons change places. So at level 40, the halberd was actually trash, and the sword was actually pretty nice. But at level 80, with lots more arcane on the build, the halberd is like the way to put people to sleep, and the sword of Saint Trina really isn't that great. Now you could like do a dex arcane kind of build with a little bit of int to kind of like get as much damage out of the sword as you possibly can. I really wasn't interested in the damage of the weapons. I was more interested in how fast they put people to sleep. Um, Most sleep builds that you see are like, you know, they use the pulley crossbow, and then they like one shot you with like a bleed infused giant crusher or something like that. I didn't want to do that. You guys know whenever I make my builds, I don't really optimize them to like destroy people with, because to me that's not fun. I like to center the build like around a character idea. And this guy's idea was that he was a Knight of Saint Trina, like a sleepwalking body that was like being puppeted from the Dreamlands, who kind of like does her bidding and whatnot, putting people to sleep and taking their dream mist and shit. Obviously, the build changed, but the theme is still the same. You might notice now I have a silver tier mask on. Shout out to my boy Lelcy over on Twitch. Came into the chat and said, "Hey, you should use the silver tier mask. It gives you like 8 arcane." Originally I only have 44 arcane on this build, but with the silver tier mask, I can get up to 52. For arcane builds specifically and status build up arcane builds, 40, 45, and 50 are all pretty good spots to be in. Like you get a good amount of status build up on any of them. I would say 45 is your sweet spot if you just don't want to use the stats for anything else. Or if you want to use the stats for anything else, you can go to 45 arcane on like a bleed build or a poison build or a sleep build. And you can get like good value out of 45 arcane and pump your stats anywhere else. For me, The main weapon I use for this build is the Crescent Ripple Halberd. It has S scaling and arcane. So, you know, like all of my damage is arcane at this point. I do have 15 ints and like 15 dex and 13 strength on the build, all for different reasons. So 13 strength allows you to use the Zweihander two-handed. 15 dex is going to give me the ability to throw on Millicent's prosthesis and use the Dragon Scale Blade if I ever decide that I need it. And of course 15 int. So you only need 14 int for the Saint Trina sword, but there are spells in the game that get pretty good arcane scaling on them. The bubble spells specifically. So Oracle Bubbles is trash. I'm not using Oracle Bubbles. It's bad. But I really like Great Ocular Bubble. I love. It's so memey that I love it. You know, it's like a bubble of death that floats towards your enemy. As you can see in this clip right here, I am using the dual straight sword setup with the Sleep Grease on one hand and Saint Trina sword in the other. I only put one guy to sleep, and it was right when he died. That's because something that I discovered about Sleep Grease and the weapons that use sleep, it's a very specific set of circumstances that you need to actually get the sleep to proc. So it really won't, like, okay, so for Colossal Swords, for example, you saw me hit somebody a lot with this Y-hander in one of these clips, right? He never went to sleep. And I think I have a theory behind that. You guys can let me know if I'm right or wrong. I don't actually know. I don't really know about, like, you know, how things scale in the game and whatnot. The Zweihander has no arcane scaling at all in it whatsoever. None. Because of that, hello kitty, by the way. If you guys might have heard of my cat in the background there, he's in the crate right now. I'm going to let him out right after I get done recording this video. So the Zweihander has no kind of scaling in arcane whatsoever by itself. I had it heavy infused, I think, in that clip. It gives it, you know, mostly strength scaling, and you can buff it with Sleep Grease, but it's not going to really do much, even if you have a lot of arcane. It probably won't put somebody to sleep. I think I put somebody to sleep one time with Zweihander while using it, and it was really clean because you can get a lot of damage converted off of it. But it's never really gonna put anybody to sleep, even being a colossal weapon that it is, right? The Zweihander colossal weapons, if you infuse them, it gives them arcane scaling, and they get a lot of status buildup on them. They can, like, bleed people in 1 or 2 hits, right? But if you just buff them with Bleed Grease and they're heavy infused or Sleep Grease, they're not gonna get no arcane scaling. Therefore, their status buildup is gonna be kind of weak. Now, however, the way that people have discovered the way around this, you know, this sleep buildup being bad for almost every weapon in the game, is they tend to use weapons that have really good arcane scaling on them, like the Crescent Ripple Halberd you see me using right here. There is another weapon in the game that uses it as well. I believe it is the Ripple Blade. It's like an Albinoric axe. And of course, I'm using the Albinoric Staff to cast the Great Ocular Bubble spell that has arcane buildup on it too. I mean scaling. It has arcane scaling on it too. But that's only going to affect spell damage, and the halberd does put people to sleep. It does. At this level, I would say the only real, like, viable option that you could use to put people to sleep is this Crescent Ripple Halberd, and that's pretty much it. The pulley crossbow is a really good option, but that, again, a lot of people cheese with that weapon. They, like, you know, they can Radon sword you, like right now, that guy. They can pretty much convert anything off of pulley crossbow, sleep bolts, put you to sleep. And it's a little scummy, so I don't use it. I mean, the same thing could be said for the Ripple Halberd, right? Like, I could have, like, offhand anything and put, you know, absolutely one-shot somebody if I want to. But you guys know me, I don't really like to do that. I like to make characters rather than builds. And the idea behind this character kind of stayed the same. He kind of is like a sleepwalking body that, you know, is being puppeted by the dream, like somewhere from the dreamlands, and maybe while he was sleeping, a silver teeter crawled onto his head and infested him or something. I don't know. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the build and whatnot, and kind of my explanation of arcane scaling with sleep in the game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, man. If you guys want to correct me at all or give me some cool ideas for a sleep build, drop it in the comments below, man. Um, and of course, if you like this kind of content, it's kind of PvP content, it's kind of build making content, character ideas, invasions, duels, I do it all. Please make sure and hit the like and subscribe button, man. Would greatly appreciate it. Trying to get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year. I believe we can do it if we are tenacious enough. And with that being said, guys, fare thee well, peace out, and all that fun stuff. I'll see you guys later, man.